Sunday. Offensive lineman Brandon Linder will be out with an ankle injury, and the following players will be questionable: linebacker Kamale Correa, tight end Tyler Eifert, cornerback Sidney Jones IV, and cornerback Greg Mabin. So we'll open it up to questions. If anyone wants to raise their hand. John Reed.
How you doing, Coach?
Good, John.
Can you talk a little bit about Dwayne Smoot and just perseverance, or what? Just through your eyes, what has it been for him from the time he was there in 2017 to right now, as far as just his progression?
I'll tell you, it's been a probably a different road. You know what I'm saying, John? Meaning that, when we first brought him in, we visualized him, putting on weight, playing big end, and it actually went the opposite way. You know what I'm saying? Where he was losing weight. So, there was in the beginning we were trying to figure out, what I'm saying, like, hey, what's the weight? Where are you going to play? What are you going to do? Where are you going to move? And then I would say probably after the 18 season, maybe, and I might have my timing wrong on this one, but then all of a sudden, hey, listen, he, the weight started coming back on, and he really started to do a really good job. And I think, last year in 19, I think you saw where we got a lot of quality inside rushing, pass rush out of him, which is something that we needed. We really didn't have much from there. And, he's able, obviously strong enough to go on the outside and, and do very well against a run, meaning be able to hold a point, and do things like that and get the job done there. But, just a guy that's been getting better, with his skill, pass rush skill. I think that, he's always been able to, defend the run well, what I'm saying, at the right position. But you see an increase in his pass rush repertoire, for lack of a better word. I mean, as far as all the different moves that he's been working on. He's good with his hands. Last week he won with a rip. What I'm saying, technique where he got the guy turned. And he's made a nice progression, and like a lot of people, I mean, there's been a progression in the right direction, but not as fast as probably we both want it to be. But we're happy he's playing at a good level now, and we're looking forward to him to to be disruptive and make things happen for us as we wind down the end of this schedule.
Yeah, just a follow up on another topic. Would you say that Derrick Henry has the best stiff arm as a running back that you have coached against? And have you ever had a week where you have a drill specifically for a player where you practice something that he uses as a strength, like the stiff arm drill?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it's unique because I think when I first started coaching, a lot of times when we faced good running backs that had great size, like when I was with New York, and we had, we would face Pittsburgh with Jerome Bettis and Deuce Staley. Those guys are big running backs. A lot of times it's, hey, get a lot of people to the football. You know what I'm saying? And make sure you wrap up. Make sure you get around their leg. Those are kind of the coaching points for a long period of time. And then it was just the teaching the technique of the tackle. I've had to actually tackle. Which there's different techniques that people teach. I think now it's become, because it is such a weapon, what I'm saying, that now you have to strategically go against that. And I see more and more teams on Sunday when I look at the tape, different types of technique to handle these stiff arms, where you see someone, knocking the stiff arm down, then having to drive through the thighs with your eyes up, things like that. So, I think it's pretty unique that he's has done such a great job of that, what I'm saying, because he is long. It's not like anyone can go out there and do it. You know what I'm saying? You have to have some length, because if you have short arms and you stiff arm someone, they're just going to run right, like D-Rock, you're just going to, tackle them, right, with those short arms. But, if you have those long arms, what I'm saying, I think that, you've got to come up with something, because it's, It's a weapon. It's something that you have to defeat. It's part of what he does. So it is unique, I think, in this as the game just keeps evolving.
Thank you, Coach. We had a
Yep.
media stiff arm drill.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. We'll go to Sam Tavares.
Hey, Doug.
Okay.
I've seen D-Rock give guys the Heisman before, so it's no big deal. Hey, is this game a rivalry game, and is there such a thing, or is every division opponent a rival? And could you tell me about your time at Syracuse as a player and as a coach? Is there a different mindset in those weeks?
There is. I think there is. I mean, and from when I started, I think we can think about, even the time, Sam, when, we were kids in grammar school or even around the block, and people had different teams on different blocks. Some teams were, more of a rival than let's say others. If you had to pass by them every day in the lunchroom, and that's who you were playing against, you're going to make sure that you go. So I think that's all in us. I think that, at Syracuse early on, it was Penn State, and you can't really choose who your rival is. It's got to be something that comes with, I believe, tradition in college. I think college has done a great job because, of the history of these rivals, and, the recruiting bases have remained, pretty much the same. And it's more nationally now, and the fan base has remained there, and that's what created a lot of rivalries. And obviously with Syracuse, it was Penn State, then they left, and then it was always West Virginia, and they left. So I'm not sure, what I'm saying, with all these conference, how the conferences go, but you still have these great rivalries, around the country, and the SEC, and, the Big Ten, and, the Pac-12, and, going there. Then I think when you get into the NFL, then there's such a high concentration on, the fastest way to get yourself in the dance, in the playoffs, is to win your division. So I think a lot goes into, these division games. And I think that, it's funny, like sometimes you'll see a team that has a poor record and a team that's really doing well, but if they're within the same division, it's kind of like you can kind of throw that stuff out a little bit. You know what I mean? It's not like a cross conference or a cross division game. So I do think there's a lot of emphasis on not particularly, one team, unless it's the top team that you're always looking to knock off, but, every team in your division becomes, almost like for lack of a better term, like a rivalry type game.
Is it easy to hang on to that when you have, and it would be difficult this year, such a close relationship with your fans? Because certainly Jacksonville fans, they hate Tennessee. I mean, they just do, even though that was now 20 years ago. But with the turnover of an NFL roster from year to year, about 40%, it's difficult for players and sometimes coaches to understand that. Yet Pittsburgh and Baltimore, I mean, that's a hate fest when they play. So is it not that easy this year to kind of be as close to that as perhaps if the players and the coaching staff and you were able to be closer to the fans this year?
I think it definitely helps. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm never going to deny that, that energy that you get, from your fans against a division opponent or a rivalry, or however you want to say it, is something that definitely, boosts, the performance, I believe, or, the atmosphere probably more so than the performance of the game. And I think that definitely helps. I think that, for as far as the players, whether the roster is changing 40% or not, when it's in division, they might not know the history like a fan will, or the people that cover the team, kind of what you brought up before, but they understand the circumstances of it. Because, the one thing that you always try to do, whether you're in a college conference or whether you're in a division, is you want to make sure that the teams in your division know that, you can beat them. Because over a long period of time, and that's one of the things in 2017 we wound up, winning the division. But after that, we've lost to some of these teams, and you don't want to get into that mode where your team takes the field and, hey, you guys haven't beaten them, and because you're playing them twice a year, and you've got to get that taken care of first before you can even move on to anything else as far as winning a division and winning these games and at worst, getting a split with them.
Great. Thanks.
Yep. You're welcome.
Thanks, Sam. We'll go to D-Rock and then wrap up with Gene.
I'm not sure Miles could get low enough to tackle me around the thighs. I don't think you got anybody that small.
We could always suit you up and put you out there. You got to sign a waiver probably, but you know what I'm saying? We can do it. I'm telling you.
Yeah, okay. Last week of the season, like senior tackle, like Florida used to do. We'll do that last week of the season.
Yeah, just make sure you have all the medical, forms and your health insurance and.
Yeah, I got life insurance already paid up. We're all set. Everything's ready.
Just make sure ESPN covers it. That's all.
Yeah. Right. Well, we'll see how that goes. We can make it look like an accident. My wife will make out even better.
I know who she'll be pulling for.
No doubt. Do you like what you've gotten from Cam Robinson this year? He's had some troubles, with some of those speed guys off the edge, especially that Pittsburgh game. But overall, are you happy with what you've gotten from him?
Yeah, I think Cam is, he's been out a lot. I think he works extremely hard this offseason. I think, not being around here obviously hurts not just him, but everyone. And I think it's, to put it in general terms, I look around the whole league at the line play. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the one position that, it's hard to motivate yourself to go out there and hit a sled. There's not many available, or to get out there or to work on pass sets or to have someone that has some high level skill to be able to go against and see. So, technically it seems like it's much harder where, guys can get together, throw 7-on-7, cover, and then, obviously the skill factors come involved. I think, what we've seen from Cam this year is that, we've seen flashes of what we expect of him, where, he's done a very good job, and there's been a lot of flashes in almost every game, but the consistency is what you're trying to, drive for. And, he's working at that every single day to get that better. He's got, a couple of things that he's working on. If he can clean a couple of things up, I think that consistency will rise.
And considering all that for Ben Barch too, that he didn't have any of that stuff either. I mean, how much has he grown being able to get playing time significantly?
Well, I mean, that's what we've done. We've kind of gotten him in there, and then I think now all of a sudden it's kind of a benefit. You know what I'm saying? I think, early on it's very easy to stop. Sometimes you do want to take a step back, kind of like we did with Jake, but there's always more on a quarterback's plate than there is on, maybe another position. So, I thought early on Ben did a nice job. We saw, we knew he was athletic. We knew he can, do a good job in the run game. Like I said before, that's something that usually does carry over from the college, to the NFL, but it's the pass game that's tough. And I think he struggled a little bit early, with, just with a couple of moves. It's, you're seeing, for him, he's seen a hell of a lot more different things than he did, coming from a small school. So, he's seen different guys. I think this is a huge test now for him this week. I mean, make no mistake about it. I mean, he's going against Simmons and Daquan Jones. I mean, Simmons is one hell of a football player, against Tennessee. So, it's going to be interesting to watch and really see his growth. I'm probably not going to be able to tell you after the game, what I'm saying? Like when you guys say, well, how do you think, someone's going to ask that, that's one I'm going to probably watch and really look at and see how he's done, what I'm saying, afterwards. But that's a big matchup now for him. And I think it's going to show a lot. And I think, at the end of the day, whether it's good or bad, he's a tough guy. He's got a good mindset about him. There's no doubt that he'll be a better football player after he plays this game.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, D-Rock. Last one with Gene.
Hey, Doug. Just an observation before anybody else diminishes Mike DiRocco's running skills. In his peewee days, opposing coaches referred to him as a rolling ball of butcher knives. So I just wanted to get that in there. Regarding Derrick Henry,
yes.
In his career, he's had his workload has been pretty much similar regardless of which month you're talking about. But his yards per carry average is substantially better from November on. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective, is that just a function of him just being a really good running back, or is it also a function of him, weighing 20 pounds more than your average, even good running back in the NFL?
Well, I'll tell you, I think I don't want to take anything away from his ability. I don't want to diminish what his ability, to be able to, um, maintain or even, not maintain, to be able to increase. Saying as the season goes along. I've always believed personally for me, and I learned this a long time ago when I was with the Jets specifically, because of my first job and it was the first time I was introduced to it. You know, one of the things when you start playing in cold weather and you start playing in all these different elements, the one thing that we used to always try to say, and we were a physical football team and a playoff football team, the one thing that we always wanted to say is, hey, listen, let them prove to us that they can tackle in December and January. Once you get to the end of the season and you get into the playoffs, that's the one thing that you want to see because, you're dealing with teams, a lot of teams. No one's fully healthy, right? I mean, everyone's bumped up, bumps and bruises and whatnot. And sometimes you see, you got to make decisions. Hey, listen, this is a big two. It's like the Jerome Bettis I was talking about and Deuce Staley, those guys. I mean, those defensive guys, you got to make decisions. I mean, when you come up there and you're going to, tackle this player that has generated this great power, it's going to hurt now. I mean, it's not like, so, whether you want to get into cliches, you want to be, the hammer and not the nail. I mean, sometimes it doesn't work. I mean, you're going to be the nail, and you've got to just suck it up and go ahead and make the tackle. But I do think that, players that run with his style and his size, you do see that as long as they can take care of their body, and he seems to have done a great job of that. That's why, there's so much emphasis on tackling him and the technique of tackling him. And I think, that's the key part of it. And I probably out of all the players, at least from my experience as a head coach or my experience as a coach in general, just listening to the other side of the ball, I probably haven't seen more of an emphasis on how to tackle someone than it has been Derrick Henry.
Thank you.
Sure. You're welcome.
Thanks, Gene. Thank you, Coach. We'll see everyone on Sunday.